Hell yes. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about Star Trek Online. And a new blog post just dropped yesterday. Upgrade a Tier 6 ship for free. This is huge news. This is some of the biggest news in years, as a matter of fact. And we are going to talk about it. So what's going on here? Well, basically they're going to add a upgrade token to the game, which can be used on either Tier 5U or Tier 6 ships. And it's an experimental upgrade, and it's sort of like how Tier 5 ships were able to upgrade to Tier 5U. Some people are calling this Tier 6U, some people are calling it Tier 7. It's not really like that. A lot of people are, it is a little bit like that, but a lot of people are comparing it to Delta Rising. And it's not like Delta Rising because the problem with Delta Rising wasn't just the addition of Tier 6, it was also the significant increase in difficulty across the board to coincide with that, and it doesn't appear that they have any plans to do that. So, people felt obligated to buy the newer ships back then because the game got a lot harder. Power creep is already out of control. They don't have any plans, as far as I know, to increase difficulty, and even if they did, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. Normal difficulty is already a joke, so I don't see this being a similar situation. And there's another big difference, which is that with Delta Rising, they were trying to sell you new versions of your old ships. But here you apply it to a ship you already own. So they're not selling new ships, they're giving you the opportunity to upgrade old ones, and it's just not quite the same thing. So you don't have to spend 3,000 Zen to get a new version of a ship you already have. You can just spend 1,000 Zen to upgrade a ship you already have, and you don't really need to do it. People felt obligated before, like, okay, I bought my ship, and now it doesn't seem as good anymore because the game is harder, and now I have to spend 3,000 Zen to get a new version of the same ship I already have just so I can do the same content. And that's just not the same dynamic that's going on here. Also, they're giving you one for free. So even if that were the case, you're going to be able to upgrade one ship for free. They're going to be putting them in the dilithium store in the ultra rare Phoenix token section. So you'll be able to get them with Phoenix tokens. And also, they're going to be giving out some for free. They haven't specified any details, but they have mentioned in multiple different places that they have plans to give them away through gameplay in the future. So you're going to be able to get multiple for free throughout the course of time. And I believe they're also going to be sellable on the exchange. So even in that case, you'll be able to just pick some up free to play, save up some energy credits, and buy them off the exchange. That should coincide roughly with their Zen cost at about 670 each, because you can get 3 for 2,000 Zen. So it's not going to be too terribly expensive. I don't think it's going to be about 5 master keys worth. So if you could save up enough EC to buy 5 master keys, that's probably about how much they're going to cost. I'm guessing. We're not actually going to know. Well, what does this thing do anyway? Let's actually talk about it. So you apply it to a ship, and it gives it an extra device slot, an extra universal console slot, which is a big deal, and an extra starship trait slot. I wish you guys could have been here when I read this for the first time. I actually yelled out loud. My wife thought something was wrong. I had to tell her nothing was wrong. Just absolutely crazy what you're going to be able to get with this thing. And it's account-wide. You can see right here, account-wide upgrades. There's been a little bit of confusion about this. There's an FAQ at the bottom. We're going to take a look at that. It has to be the exact same type of ship. And what that means is that a fleet version is different from the C-Store version, for example. So the C-Store Defiant, Tier 6 Defiant, is different than the Legendary Defiant, which is different than the Fleet Tier 6 Defiant. So all Tier 6 ships, all Defiants, but they're all different. However, when you're talking about the same ship, whether it's any one of those three, let's say you apply it to your Legendary Defiant, every character on your account, when they go to the ship guy and they have their Legendary Defiant, they'll get the upgrade for free. So as long as it's the exact same version of the ship, every character on your account will get the upgrade for free once you've applied it on one character. So it is account wide, but only for that exact ship type. So it's not just like you do it for the Defiant and it works on every Defiant. It has to be on the one particular version, but that one version, it is account wide. So that's really good. Now, as I said already, how do you get them? They're going to give us one for free just for logging in, it looks like. And because it doesn't say you have to do anything. It says a special promotional event rolling out the next major story update. All players who log in during the first 30 days will receive one for free by just going into the Zen store and claiming it. So they're not making us do, a TFO event where we have to do a TFO 14 times or whatever. They're not making us jump through those hoops. You're just going to get it for free. You log in, you claim it, 5 seconds later, boom, 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 you have it. Completely free, completely great, okay? Console, they're going to be doing it on console, of course. So I know there's console players who watch my channel, and it says that it's going to coincide with the release of their next major story update. So although I don't follow the console news, if you pay attention to that, it should be connected to the next major story update. So this should come at the same time if you're looking out for that. Frequently asked questions. Can you apply this upgrade to any ship? You can use the experimental upgrade token on any Tier 5U or Tier 6 ship. This includes fleet ships, legendary ships, ships obtained from lockboxes, and Infinity promotions. Any Tier 5U or Tier 6 ship, period. Okay. What class does the upgrade affect? When you upgrade a ship, the upgrade is applied to any ship of that exact type. I already went over that. I'm not going to go over it again. Do you have to choose one of the three options? No, you get all three. You get the device slot, you get the trait slot, and you get the starship trait. Now, how does the starship trait work? It's a 6th starship trait slot, but only when you're using a ship that has the upgrade. So it's not an upgrade for your character the way the 5th one is that we currently have. It's only an upgrade when you're using the ship that has the upgrade on it. Okay. Will fleet ships automatically upgrade? Applying the upgrade to a non-fleet version will not automatically upgrade the fleet version. That's what I was talking about earlier. Fleet versions are different than the regular versions. But if you do apply it to a fleet ship, it will apply to all the same versions of that fleet ship. So if I apply it to my fleet Gagarin and I switch over to another character on my account, their fleet Gagarin will have it. So it's a little bit confusing, but it's also not that confusing at the same time. Basically, when you go to the ship guy and you say you want to do the upgrade, it basically says, is this literally the ship that has it or not? If it is on your account, you get it. If it doesn't, it isn't. Fleet ships are different than regular ships. Okay, not going to harp on that anymore. How will this affect character-bound ships? The upgrade will still affect all ships of that type on your account. So if you got a Centaur or a Juggernaut on 2 different characters, it'll still work. So in the extremely rare case where you have, 2 Juggernauts on your account on 2 different characters, putting it on one will give it to the other one. So you're probably made of money if that's the case, so you probably wouldn't mind buying a second one. But yeah, so it always applies to every character on your account. It just has to be restricted to that particular type. I know I've been talking about that a lot, but that has been the biggest single source of confusion about this, and I just wanted to make sure that that's crystal clear. Okay, so people were asking about advice, top 10 lists, what ships should you apply it to and things like that. And I think that there's so many ships in the game, people have vastly different collections. It doesn't really make sense to do like a top 10 list or anything like that. So I think that instead I'm going to go over some use cases and some different scenarios to try and help guide you to the ships that you want to use it on. First question, are you the kind of player who only really plays on one character, or do you actively play on more than one character? This is a big question to answer because I think everyone has an alt or two. We use them for dilithium farming. We use them for extra bank storage space and all that kind of stuff. But do you actively play on those characters? Are you invested in them? Or are you planning on becoming invested in an alt in the future? Because if you are, that is going to pretty drastically make a difference on which ship you want to pick, because the accessibility of ships across your account is going to suddenly become a lot higher of a priority. Whereas if you really only care about the one character, then you should probably just pick the best ship or your favorite ship for that character and use it on that, not worrying about how hard it is to get that ship, that particular type of ship, on your other characters because you don't really play them anyway. So for an example, if you have a C-Store version versus a Fleet version, if you've got 5 characters that you actively play, and you've got a C-Store ship that also has a Fleet version, well, you might want to apply it to the base version if you're not willing to get the Fleet ship modules for all of them to get the Fleet version of the ship, if you know what I mean. This is especially true for free-to-play players who have access to Fleet ships, but you're having to pay the full 5 Fleet ship modules instead of just the one because you don't have it in the C-Store. If you wanted to do it on multiple characters, you could, if both characters are willing to pay the full 5 Fleet ship modules. But you might want to look at an event store, an event ship instead, because the moment they claim it, they're going to be able to get the upgrade right away, and they're not going to have to jump through all the extra hoops and have the reputation to get the Fleet ship modules and all that stuff. So, big question is single character, multi-character. Which one are you interested in? That's a big consideration to make. And then ask yourself, how easy is it for me to get the ship I want to use it on my other characters? Okay, some use cases. We all know that this is people don't call it a sandbox, they like to call it an amusement park game. What is your end game? People kind of choose their own adventure here. Are you a DPS chaser? In that case, you probably don't need my advice here. You're going to pick the best ship that you have for DPS for a particular build. Whether it's an energy weapon build, a science build, a torpedo build, you're going to pick the best ship that you have, and you're going to apply it to that. Kind of a no-brainer there. You're looking to increase performance, so you're going to take your best performing ship, and you're going to make it perform a little bit better. Other use cases, Space Barbie, or maybe something similar to that. Maybe you have a ship that you fly, you don't really care how it performs, you're flying it because you just love that ship. Whether it's your Connie, whether it's a Defiant because you really love DS9, or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's the Excelsior because you like the TOS movies. Whatever it is, you have your one ship and you fly that ship because you love the ship and you don't care about the performance. In that case, it's a similar kind of a no-brainer. That's the ship you love. That's the ship you fly. That's the ship you want to look at. Just apply it to that ship. Whatever shortcomings it may have, you're going to be able to fill in the gaps a little bit. Okay, we already talked about free-to-play. Your choices are a little bit limited. Unless you're willing to fork up the Fleet ship modules, you should probably go with the event ships. What's the third case scenario? Maybe you're somewhere in between a DPS chaser and a Space Barbie. You like to fly different ships. You're a collector. You have a big collection of ships. You like to fly a lot of ships. This is where it's going to be the hardest to choose for you because you have so many ships and you're not going to get upgrades for all of them. So which ones do you do? Well, I would look for ships that have something interesting going on, where you can't quite do it, but you might be able to do it if you had that extra starship trait, because here's where the starship trait becomes the most useful. And you're able to fill in the gaps. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe you have a ship where you're forced to use half bat, or your cooldown management options are limited. You get that extra starship trait, you can throw the constable trait on there, arrest, or something else like that, another cooldown related trait on there. And now you can fill in the gaps that way, so you don't have to worry as much about the bridge officer seating being bad. So you can use that, or with the consoles as well. Maybe your ship only has 3. The Donnie is a good example of that. The legendary Donnie only has 3 tactical console slots. So maybe you put it on there. You really like that ship. Now you can get a 4th one because you got the universal console slot. So I would look for ships where there's a deficiency and put it on that ship so that you can kind of help make up for those deficiencies and sort of bring it up to par with the other ships. So those are the 3 cases I can see. First, DPS chasers, pick your best ship, put it on there. If you're Space Barbie, pick your favorite ship, put it on there. If you're someone who's a collector and you like to tinker around with different stuff, find the ships that have the biggest weaknesses and put it on there so you can use these extra stuff to fill in their weaknesses and not have to sacrifice other things you already have on the ship. If you're only going for one character, then pick the best ship for that character. If you actively play on more than one character, then make sure that it's a ship that's easily accessible on all those characters. If you're free to play, look at event ships first because it's really hard to get the fleet ships. That's my advice. This is a big deal. It's coming soon. Looks like October 6th it's going to hit on PC. You have until November 5th, I think, to claim the free one. That's a long time, so make sure you log in and get it. And this is going to be a huge change to the game. What about buying them from the C-Store? I think I mentioned it earlier. If you get one, it costs 1,000 Zen. If you get three, it only costs 2,000 Zen. That's a very reasonable price. A couple of people were confused why I'm happy about this when I complained about the rep buyout. The rep buyout to me was priced in such a way that it was predatory, and that's the big problem I had with it. This price is actually reasonable, and because they're available in the Phoenix store, I think there's a chance that this will actually have an effect on the dilithium exchange. It's not worth it to buy dilithium with Zen because you're going to get less that way. So if you're trying to get these, do not buy dilithium with Zen in order to open Phoenix boxes unless you really care about the upgrades, because that's the wrong way to go. Just buy them from the C-Store. However, if you have a lot of dilithium, it might be worth it to open up some boxes in order to get it, or if you have some extra tokens lying around, you can cash those in as well. So I don't know that it's going to have as big of an impact on the dilithium market as people think, but I think it will have an impact on the dilithium market, and I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye for now.